Hello, what's up? How you doing? Welcome back to His Story. Today we will simply discuss the Greek myths revolving around dragon-like creatures in the ancient Greek world of mythology. Um, I just wanted to spice it up. We talk about the gods and goddesses a lot, and I was just thinking, let's throw in some other stuff. I'm very interested in dragons and giants and all types of creatures. So I'm adding this new little segment called the Divine Index. Sorry, I don't have any awesome fancy philosophy to go with this segment. So we'll just focus on the myths, talking specifically about um mythical creatures to today's modern lifestyle or modern style of creatures. I said lifestyle, modern lifestyle creatures. Come on. But like I said, I'm just going to discuss the Greek mythology and lore behind dragons on this one, and I'll give you the other dragon myths and other civilizations in later episodes. So let's jump right in. All of the creatures that I may mention in these myths are not necessarily dragons as of how we would think of them today. Most of them will share the same lineage, so I will save some time on speaking about the lineage after the first few. Just know that they are most likely the offspring of Gaia or Typhon and Echidna, basically. But the word that the Greeks use for our modern day depiction of a dragon is Drakon. And scholars have stated that this word means serpent or huge serpent. Drakon is also associated with the term Durkami. I don't know. I'll spell it out for you. But with the meaning of one with the deadly stare or the one who stares. So let's talk about a few of the Drakon to get a deeper look into how ancient Greek people viewed them from how we would necessarily view a dragon, which isn't too much different. But we will start with Python. Not like your giant snake roaming around Python, even though this could have basically gave way to the name of the Python as we have today. Python was a giant serpent-like creature that was depicted as a giant snake with bronze-like hard scales that mimicked obsidian when wet, bright burning eyes, and toxic breath. These are two stories that I know of describing the origins of Python. And we will just call Python the primordial being, just to contain any confusion between this one and the next. So Python the primordial being was direct offspring of Gaia, placing him among the pre-Olympian order. Gaia's greatest sanctuary was placed in Delphi, which was considered the center of the world to the ancient Greek people. Gaia created Python to be the overseer or guardian and conduit for Delphi. This version of Python came before Olympians or Greek gods, like I said. Now, that was Python, the primordial being. Now, let's discuss the other version of Python's origin. In this version, Python is not exactly created by Gaia on purpose. Python was formed from the rotten remains of the earth after Zeus sent the great deluge, the flood, to destroy mankind. This version differs from the primordial Python version because rather than a guardian of the earth, Python is symbolized more so as a monster formed by death, making way for the belief of evil intent from Python and symbolizing the remnants left behind after divine interference, basically the Great Flood. But either way, that you decide to go, either story you decide to go with. In the new coming of age, the god Apollo began to search for a place to make his holy center. And he chose Delphi. But Delphi was already claimed and guarded by Python. Now, Apollo enters the sacred temple of Gaia and challenges Python, fighting a very fierce battle, in the end, overcoming Python by pew, pew, shooting arrows at him. Python was sacred, and by killing him, Apollo committed a divine murder. And that released a spiritual pollution that had to be cleansed. So Zeus ordered Apollo to go cleanse himself, which is a story that I'll touch base on later on another day. But there are more to discuss, so let's move on. So we'll talk about Typhon. Typhon is the son of Gaia and Tartarus. Typhon arises after the gods defeat the Titans in the Titanomachy, or the Titanomachy, whichever word you want to go with. Due to Gaia's anger over the defeat and imprisonment of her offspring, the Titans, that's how Typhon basically arose, was formed. Gaia wasn't too pleased that the gods went and basically destroyed the order that came before them, which were Gaia's offspring. Which, the gods are through Gaia's lineage. Everything comes from Gaia, just about. But Typhon was Gaia's rage, created to destroy the Olympian gods, her attempt to reclaim the world order, basically. The ancients described Typhon as having 1,000 dragon heads on his shoulders, eyes blazing with fire, a body so tall his head touched the stars, serpents for legs coiling endlessly, and wings vast enough to blow out the sky, or blot out the sky. Either one, cover the sky, basically. Typhon was even said to be a terror to the gods, making several like Athena, Hermes, Ares, and Poseidon and Aphrodite flee on his arrival. Only Zeus stayed back to fight the back and forth battle between him and Typhon. The battle was epic, with Zeus fighting, flinging his lightning bolts and storms at Typhon, and Typhon throwing mountains and serpents back at him. But in the end, of course, the almighty Zeus was victorious, burying Typhon alive under Mount Etna, which is still one of the most active volcanoes till this day. Very interesting. Now focus on the descriptions. They're not going to change as much, but just focus on the descriptions. Whenever you read this stuff, focus on the whole story or stuff, but the descriptions of the dragons, these, they're pretty interesting, I would say, to the modern day mind. But let's move on to Ladon. Ladon is the offspring of the primordial sea figures, Phorcys and Ceto. Some sources say he is the child of Typhon and Echidna, and others say the direct offspring of Gaia. Either way, Ladon is the guardian of the Garden of Hesperides, where the golden apples of the gods lie. Ladon is described as a massive serpent-like dragon with multiple heads and glowing eyes, able to speak with many different voices, eternally watching over the garden in a sleepless state and having armor like scales. One of Heracles' labors was to get the golden apples for Eurystheus. There are two versions to this story. In one version, Ladon does not get killed by Heracles. He gives the golden apples up to Atlas, free of any kind of combat or fighting. So basically, Hercules went and asked Atlas, if I got this story correct, Hercules went and asked Atlas, hey, can you go in and get them apples for me, man? I don't really want to cause no trouble. And Atlas had some kind of ties to the garden. I really can't too much remember, but Ladon was cool with Atlas, just walking in and getting him some apples. But Atlas said, "Yeah, if you hold up the sky for me a little bit, because Atlas holds up the sky. If you hold up the sky for me a little bit, man, yeah, I'll go get them apples for you if I can get a little break." Basically, that's what happened. In the other more popular one, Heracles confronts Ladon in a battle, slaying him to retrieve the golden apples. Simple as that. Give me them apples. Now let's move on to the Colchian dragon, guardian of the golden fleece that Jason and the Argonauts were in search of. If you ever heard of Jason and the Argonauts, it's a great story. Everybody should look into Jason and the Argonauts. The Colchian dragon was also described to be enormous in size, like the others. Immortal and Sleepless, also described as having a doppelback, fiery eyes, and a fiery chest with either 3 tongues or 3 forked tongues, either or. The story goes that Jason and his soon-to-be wife Medea defeated the dragon, but did not kill him. They defeated the Colchian dragon by using magic that Medea had. She cast a spell onto him, putting him in a sleepy state long enough for Jason to grab the fleece. Other versions have either Heracles or Jason actually killing the Colchian dragon. Now, the Ismenian dragon, or the dragon of Ares, with some versions making him the son of Ares, lived in a cave by the spring of Ismene in Boeotia. And the Ismenian dragon was basically tasked with guarding it because it was sacred to Ares. The Ismenian dragon was described like most: huge, sleepless, fork-tongued, with the deadly poison and toxic steaming breath. The most distinguishable thing is that there was a crest on his head, like a warrior-like crest, like basically a crest that would, I guess, symbol that I belong to Ares. Because Ares, of course, the god of war, combat. Now, Cadmus was a Phoenician prince, Cadmus was a Phoenician prince, but he soon encountered the Ismenian dragon after sending his men to fetch water from a nearby spring, not knowing it belonged to Ares. The dragon slaughtered his men, and Cadmus took revenge by slaying the dragon. But this resulted in Cadmus having to serve under Ares for 1 year. Now, 1 year is interpreted as 8 human years, basically for penance to the god for slaying his sacred son or sacred dragon. There are more myths about dragons throughout Greek myths, but I will speak of those in time to come. I said focus on these specific dragon-like creatures because of the similarities that they share, being guardians of sacred places, almost like I guess like a bodyguard, or more better like a weapon, given all of the characteristics of these fumes, this toxic breath that they have, these sleepless states, like they don't have to sleep, this metal bronze like armor, hard armor on them, the ability to shoot fire or do whatever they have to do, glowing red eyes. All of these, or glowing eyes, period, all of these are pretty similar in a certain state, which is very interesting. Now, they do not seem to be linked to any chaotic characteristics, but more so, like I said, being described as protectors or divine protectors with a restless and immortal embodiment about them, which is very interesting, being that they aren't looking for trouble. Trouble comes looking for them. Interesting. Let me know what you think about what these dragons could symbolize or actually be in modern terms. But if you do think that the dragons were not just simply dragons. There are some interesting theories that dragons were just misinterpreted technology, but we'll carry on with the ancient Sumerian dragon stories on the Divine Index for Dragons on the next episode. I'll catch y'all on the flip side.